All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about first love,
First love.
which I'm sure we all have very vivid memories
Got lots of
about.
memories, yeah.
But we're not just talking about, our own personal anecdotes and things like that.
Right.
We're going to dive into some sources that we found
Yeah. Some fascinating research.
that really break down the psychology,
Yeah.
the emotional side of things.
The cultural impact, I
It's
mean.
the cultural impact, yeah,
It's huge.
of first love.
Yes.
And some of the things I think are going to be surprising
Oh, absolutely.
to people,
Yeah, I was surprised by a few of these things, even as someone who,
even as an expert.
I mean, you could say I'm an expert, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's...
You think you know this topic, right?
You think you know this topic inside and out, but there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I guess the first thing we should start off with is
Well, how do we even define first love?
how do we even define it?
Because I think a lot of times we think of it in a very narrow way,
Yeah.
just that first romantic relationship.
Right.
But the source material really emphasizes that it's broader than that.
Yeah.
It's about...
It's not just about the relationship itself.
Yeah.
It's about experiencing this kind of depth connection for the first time.
Right, that intensity,
Yeah.
that feeling of like, whoa, I've never felt this way about another person before.
Yeah. And I think, you were mentioning.
Well, and it ties into the brain chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Dopamine, oxytocin, all those things.
Yeah. Why does it feel
Like, why does it feel
so different and
so all-consuming?
so all-consuming?
And it's because your brain is literally like
Yeah.
being flooded with these chemicals
hold on.
that are associated with reward and bonding and
I need more of this.
more.
Yeah.
And so it really is like
Yeah. So that explains why it is so powerful.
yeah.
So
intent, and because it's so new.
Yeah.
It really has the potential to become like a template, a reference point for your future relationships.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That it's like a
It's like a blueprint
blueprint.
almost,
Yeah.
for what love should look and feel like.
Like you're going to be chasing that?
Potentially.
Yeah.
And sometimes even subconsciously,
Yeah.
you might find yourself attracted to people who resemble that first love.
Right.
Or repeating certain relationship patterns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, I think the source even described it as like an emotional roller coaster,
Oh, absolutely.
which I think is such a perfect.
So accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You're soaring with happiness 1 minute,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're plummeting into despair the next.
But you just don't have the experience to put it into perspective.
Exactly.
So those lows can feel extra extreme.
Especially extreme, yeah.
Is that?
And that ties back to what we were saying about
Yeah.
the brain chemistry.
Okay, yeah.
Those floods of dopamine and oxytocin?
Yeah.
They create this almost addictive feeling, which is why
So it's like a literal addiction
it can be.
to that first love.
It can be.
That's why.
That's why it can be so difficult to move on,
Oh, wow.
even years later.
Years later.
Yeah.
So it's like a crash course in relationships
It is.
with
with really high stakes.
really high stakes.
Yeah.
And it's not just shaping our views on love.
Yeah.
It's shaping our own self-identity too, right?
Absolutely. This is when we start to define who we are in relation to another person.
Yeah.
We figure out our needs, our boundaries,
Yeah.
what it even means to love and be loved.
Yeah.
And we might even start to make choices.
Oh, yeah.
About our style, our hobbies, our friend groups,
Yeah.
based on this new dynamic.
Like you're kind of becoming a new person almost.
You're evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're becoming who you are.
Wow. And I wonder, does the source say anything about how differently men and women might experience this?
It does touch on that.
Okay.
It suggests that societal expectations play a role
Yeah.
in how we experience first love.
Right.
And it suggests that girls might tend to be more emotionally focused,
Yeah.
putting a lot of emphasis on the depth of the connection.
Yeah, like
romantic ideals.
more like the fairy tale, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a classic trope
It is.
that, guys are more focused on the physical or social aspects of it.
Right. Yeah.
It's all about
Status.
status, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you date the head cheerleader, then
Yeah, exactly.
you're cool.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, of course, these are just broad trends, right? There's
Yeah.
always going to be tons of individual variation.
Right, yeah.
But
Of course.
it is interesting to think about
yeah.
how those societal messages, even if they're subtle, can influence how young people navigate these experiences, these
Yes.
first experiences with love.
Yeah, like if you're getting these messages about how men and women are supposed to
Right.
act in relationship,
Behave. Yeah.
then,
Could that shape your expectations?
yeah, does that shape those expectations and
Yes.
like almost unconsciously?
Potentially. Yeah.
Wow.
It's something to think about.
Yeah,
It's an interesting question,
it is.
especially as those traditional gender roles
Right.
continue to evolve, right?
Yeah,
So it's a very dynamic landscape.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about like how it's defined.
Yeah, we've kind of laid the groundwork
Yeah.
a little bit.
But what about like,
Well, I mean, think about this.
okay.
First love is everywhere.
It is.
I mean, it's in movies,
Yeah.
books, songs.
Music.
It's a constant theme.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why is that?
Yeah, like it's not just about cheesy romance.
No, it's not.
Like there's a lot more to it.
There's a lot more to it. It taps into these universal experiences
Yeah.
that resonate with all of us, no matter our age or background.
Right.
We've all experienced that feeling of intense connection,
Yeah.
whether it was romantic or platonic.
Yeah.
Think about that first best friend you had in elementary school,
Oh, yeah.
or maybe a teacher who really inspired you.
Totally.
Yeah. Those experiences, even if they weren't romantic,
Yeah.
can hold such a powerful place in
Yeah.
our memories.
Because they shaped how we.
Yeah, they shaped our understanding of what it means to connect deeply
Yeah.
with another person.
So I guess it's not all about like the romantic side.
No, it's not.
It's really about like that deep
that deep connection.
connection for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, bringing it back to the impact,
Okay.
the source really emphasizes that this isn't just about nostalgia
Right.
or sentimentality. It actually influences our behavior and our choices
Oh, wow.
in the present.
So even if that first love ended
Years ago.
years ago,
Yeah.
it's still shaping how we relate to
Yeah.
people today.
Absolutely.
That's kind of unsettling
It can be.
if you think about it.
It can be, especially if we're not aware of the influence.
Yeah.
The source mentioned this idea of idealization,
Idealization.
where we might hold on to an overly romanticized view
Okay.
of that first love.
Oh, so like you're chasing a feeling
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're chasing a feeling that can't be replicated
because you've grown.
because you've grown, they've grown.
You're not the same person you were.
Right. Life happens,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
how do we even navigate that?
right.
Like, how do we navigate that if it's like this thing that's influencing us?
Well, and that can set us up for disappointment.
Right, because you're holding everyone to this.
You're holding everyone to this impossible standard. No relationship can live up to that level of intensity.
Right.
Forever.
Forever.
I mean, think about it. We're
Right.
constantly growing and changing
Yeah.
as individuals.
It's like,
To expect someone else to remain static
yeah.
goes against the very nature of personal development.
So it's like you're setting yourself up for failure.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're holding on to that
Yeah.
idealized version.
Yeah.
So,
Well, how do we deal with that?
well,
If we have this template,
right.
like how do we even become aware of it? And I guess,
That's a great question.
yeah.
One valuable approach is to view first love as a learning experience.
Okay.
By reflecting on
Okay.
both the positive and the negative aspects.
Yeah.
We gain insights
Okay.
into our emotional patterns, our
Yeah.
needs, and even potential blind spots.
So instead of trying to recreate it.
Instead of chasing that initial intensity,
Yeah.
we should focus on understanding what it taught us about ourselves
Okay.
and how to apply those lessons
Yeah.
to future connections.
So it's all about like,
It's about recognizing that love, like life,
Yeah.
is a journey of growth
right.
and evolution.
And you have to evolve with it.
We learn, we adapt,
Yeah.
and hopefully we become more skilled at navigating the
Right.
complexities of human connection.
So first love is just one chapter
Exactly.
in like a much longer story.
It's one chapter. It's the first chapter, maybe.
Yeah, the first chapter.
Yeah. But it lays the foundation,
Okay.
for understanding intimacy, vulnerability, connection
Mhm.
in all its forms.
Right.
And as we mature, we can build upon that foundation
Okay.
to create richer, more fulfilling relationships.
So we're not trying to like
Right.
erase it.
No.
It's like learning from it
It's about learning from it
and moving forward with it.
and moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember, we've been talking about romantic love,
Yeah.
but this applies to other.
It's types of love, too.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about those close friendships.
Yeah.
The mentors who had a profound impact
Well,
on your life.
Yeah. Like, those are all.
Those relationships also involve intense emotions,
Yeah.
a sense of discovery, and a lasting influence
Yeah.
on our identity.
Right.
So while not romantic in the traditional sense,
Yeah.
they can be just as formative.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's really about like appreciating
Yes.
all those early connections.
It's about recognizing the power of those experiences
Yeah.
to shape who we become.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this first part of
Yeah.
our deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
I want to turn it over to our listeners.
Yeah.
Like, how has your experience
What resonates with you?
with first love, whether it's
Yeah.
romantic or platonic,
Or anything in between.
yeah, or anything in between?
Did anything surprise you?
Did anything surprise you?
What lessons have you learned?
Yeah.
Or are you still learning?
How have those experiences shaped the way you connect with others
Yeah.
today?
We'd love to hear your thoughts because this isn't just about analyzing data.
No.
It's about understanding.
It's about understanding a fundamental
A fundamental part of
part of the human experience.
human experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So share your stories,
Share your stories.
your insights.
your perspectives.
Yeah. And
maybe we can all learn from each other.
and maybe we can all learn from each other
Yeah.
because this is a topic that,
Right. We can always learn more.
we can always learn more about.
Yeah.
So
So keep thinking about it.
keep thinking about it.
I'm reflecting.
And we'll
Yeah.
be back soon with part 2
We'll be back soon with part 2.
of our deep dive on first love.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, see you then.
See ya.
All right, bye-bye. You know, it's fascinating to think about how these societal norms might shape our perceptions of love. And it's not just about romantic relationships either. The source also points out the impact of first love on our broader cultural landscape.
Yeah, like how first love is a constant theme in movies and books and songs. Like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It really is.
And it's not just about cheesy romance.
No.
You know, these stories often explore deeper themes of innocence, longing, heartbreak, and growth. It taps into these universal experiences
Right.
that resonate with all of us, no matter our age or background.
I think about those like coming of age movies.
Yes, exactly.
Where it's like
It's a classic.
you always have that first love.
It's a classic trope.
trope. Yeah.
And for good reason,
Yeah.
because we've all experienced that feeling of intense connection.
Whether it was romantic or platonic.
Exactly.
Yeah, like think about that first best friend you had
Oh, yeah.
in elementary school.
Absolutely. Or maybe a teacher who really inspired you,
Totally.
you know, to pursue a certain path.
Yeah, those experiences.
Even if they weren't romantic,
Yeah.
can hold such a powerful place
Yeah, they really can.
in our memories.
Because they shaped how we...
They shaped our understanding of what it means to connect deeply with another person.
Yeah, so it's not all about like the romantic side of it.
No, it's not.
It's really about that deep connection.
That deep connection for the first time.
Yeah.
And, you know, bringing it back to the impact,
Okay.
the source really emphasizes that this isn't just about nostalgia or sentimentality.
Right.
It actually influences our behavior and our choices
Really?
in the present.
So even if that first love ended years ago, it's still shaping how we relate to people today.
Absolutely.
That's kind of unsettling.
It can be, especially if we're not aware of the influence.
Yeah.
You know, the source mentions this idea of idealization,
Idealization.
where we might hold on to an overly romanticized view
Okay.
of that first love.
So like we're chasing a feeling that can't be replicated.
Exactly. You're chasing a feeling that can't be replicated because you've grown. Life happens.
Yeah, you're not the same person.
Right. And so to expect that same level of intensity is unrealistic.
Yeah, so how do we even navigate that? Like if we have this template, like how do we even become aware of it? And I guess...
That's a great question. You know, one valuable approach is to view first love as a learning experience.
Okay.
By reflecting on both the positive and the negative aspects,
Okay.
we gain insights into our emotional patterns, our needs, and even potential blind spots.
So instead of trying to recreate it.
Right. Instead of chasing that initial intensity, we should focus on understanding what it taught us about ourselves
Okay.
and how to apply those lessons to future connections.
So it's all about like...
It's about recognizing that life is a journey of growth and evolution.
Right.
We learn, we adapt, and hopefully we become more skilled at navigating the complexities of human connection.
So first love is just one chapter in like a much longer story.
Exactly. It's one chapter. It's the first chapter maybe, but it lays the foundation.
The first chapter.
Yeah, for understanding intimacy, vulnerability, connection in all its forms.
Right.
And as we mature, we can build upon that foundation to create richer, more fulfilling relationships.
We're not trying to like erase it. It's like learning from it and moving forward with it.
It's about learning from it and moving forward. Yeah.
And remember, we've been talking about romantic love, but this applies to other types of love too.
It does. Absolutely.
Like those close friendships, the mentors who had a profound impact.
Those relationships also involve intense emotions,
Yeah, yeah.
a sense of discovery, and a lasting influence on our identity.
Right.
So while not romantic in the traditional sense, they
Yeah.
can be just as formative.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's really about like appreciating all those.
It's about recognizing the power of those experiences
Yeah.
to shape who we become.
Yeah. Yeah, it really makes you think like how much power those early connections hold, like how they shape our views on love and friendship, even ourselves.
It is remarkable, isn't it? And while we've explored a lot today, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this complex topic.
Yeah, there's always more to uncover, right? Like
Yeah.
it makes me wonder about how different cultures view and experience first love. I mean, our source material focused on a pretty specific perspective.
That's an excellent point. The cultural lens is crucial.
Hmm.
How do different societies define and ritualize first love? Are there certain expectations or traditions surrounding it?
Yeah.
Do those factors influence the formation of those love templates we discussed earlier?
Yeah, I imagine those cultural nuances could have a huge impact. And then there's the influence of technology and social media. How is first love different in the age of dating apps and instant messaging?
It's a whole new landscape for navigating those first connections.
Yeah.
Think about it. The way we build intimacy, manage expectations, even define what constitutes first love is evolving alongside these technological changes.
Right.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it seems like there are endless avenues for further exploration. But for now, I think we've given our listeners plenty to ponder.
Indeed. The key takeaway from our deep dive today is that first love, in all its various forms, is a profound experience with a lasting impact.
It shapes our emotions, our sense of self, and the way we approach relationships throughout our lives.
So as you go about your day, we encourage you to reflect on your own experiences with first love or observe it unfolding in the lives of those around you.
What stands out to you? What lessons have you learned, or are you still learning? How have those experiences shaped the way you connect with others today?
We'd love to hear your reflections. Share your thoughts with us on social media or simply take some time for quiet contemplation.
Yeah, and we'll see all of you next time for another deep dive.
Until then, keep exploring and keep diving deep.
All right, bye.
See ya.